There's so much stuff in Goodfellas that people take for granted, like why Pesci's character killing Frank Vincent's character, Billy Betts, because he was a made man. He was not, that was a big violation.
Untouchable, yeah, you can't
touch it.
Pays
off later on. When I speak to classes, like my friend Brian would ask me to come to speak at a film class, a lot of times it's almost like there's a microscope. And I'm not saying you can't be vibrant, you can't be energetic. Like in Goodfellas, I definitely, it was funny communicating with Martin Scorsese, and it was such a thrill to be this master, to be part of his film. And such, as Brian De Palma would say, try to tell people, it's a collaborative effort,
Yeah.
But here's the music, all the great music in it. And one of the things I wanted to do when I first appeared, my internal thing was I wanted to be like I was shot out of a cannon. Because, you got very rightfully so great performances by a Paul Sorvino, very low keyed, and you have different people who talk like, it's like this. But Frenchie, from what I found out from this detective, was on the set also, and he was playing, he did a quick thing as one of the mob guys, but also Frank Silvero played Frank Cabone.
Yeah.
Well, I was fortunate enough the night we were doing Passing the Key. We were passing the key back and forth, and Pesci would say, "Hey, Mike, do some right elbow acting. Try some left," because I had to do like this, pass the key. And we were out at Kennedy Airport, actually, when we were doing it. And we're at a diner, and I was blessed enough to be with Charlie Scorsese.
The one where that scene where he's cooking the meat and stuff, right?
Oh yeah. And also with his not only with Charlie but with Frank Silvero. And at one point, Frank Silvero said to me, because they were telling classic stories, and then they would break into the ending sometimes in Sicilian, and I'd go, "Oh, crazy!" They tell the end like really inside, interesting stories, about people and lives and everything. Yeah. But they included me in that. At one point, Frank said to me, "Like, now Frank Cabone, right? Play Frank. He was in
the famous line. It was like personality. Me and John Cordick, you got personality."
Now, before I tell you, don't let me lose the thread of this, but Frank Scorsese heard one day someone trying to ad-lib something in Italian. He said, "Someone say something in Italian?" "Yeah, I said this, One of my friends said something, and he said, no. Only one person that will really speak Italian. I mean, I'm sure, can't remember if Sorvino had a little thing, but he was adamant that this was not an Italian movie, an Italian-American movie. It was, if you think of the people involved, Sam Jackson, my character, all these people, they were earners, a group of earners. Yes, the higher, more powerful people like Paul Sorvino's character, Paul Perio, is Italian-American. But if you think about it, and he was very specific. So when we do the pink Cadillac scene, when Johnny Roastbeef comes in and De Niro and
he gets mad at him,
Burke, as Jimmy Burke was his real name, the Irish guy, he's like doing everything, and he takes the fur coat, get out of here, whatever, it's just such a great scene that a lot of it was created on the spot there. And Scorsese and with Bob and Marty, like talking to each other, and then us doing things. Well, he said, "Frank, I want you to say something in Sicilian as you're going out." So that's how specific it was. Okay. And he trusted, because Frank, if you remember him from Godfather 2, and I don't know how
he was the friend of young.
Yeah, so I don't know how much influence he had with Bob, because Bob is so brilliant that learning that and this and that, and how real Bruno Kirby was absolutely fabulous. God rest his soul. Bruno Kirby, from the New York Irish West Side guy. He was just, how great was he, but anyway, Frank would do this. So we're having all these laughs all night in the diner, waiting to do my little key passing. And Frank says, "Mike, how you gonna do this? How you playing the part?" I'm like thinking to myself, "Oh no. It sounds like you asked me, hey, do a Canadian accent, whatever, you're on the spot." Ooh, I said, what? No, I think I'll just no, the reason I'm telling you is because the way you are right now, that is the way he was. See, these guys were from that area. And he said, in fact, that might have contributed to him getting killed, because if you remember, one of the great devices, there's so much stuff in Goodfellas that people take for granted. And cultural, to me, cultural system, like why Pesci's character killing Frank Vincent's character, Billy Betts, why that was a big violation, this and that. People said culturally and this and that in the system, because he was a man, he was not, that was a big violation.
Untouchable, yeah,
and
you can't
it pays
touch
off
it.
later on. Yeah, it pays off later on, and it's almost like feudalism or like knighthood, or samurais. I tell people it's like samurais in the 1860s, and which Magnificent Seven was taken from Seven Samurai, but there were like certain things you could not do. You couldn't bump into a samurai in a shopping thing because you might have to take out. So there were rules. So he said, just the way you are now is the way he is. And I remember this detective telling me that he had a joy about it. So I wanted to come in to be like, like that, and then seeing the movie and the music he had, and that's just like, and really, this detective had told me that he just enjoyed stealing, and I'm not saying he was a holy man or a pacifist complete, but it's not like he was a hitman or like, a serious, hey, he was just a ridiculous thief. And it was so easy. When you read Nick's book, it was so wide open. So that's how Frenchie, people will say, oh, he didn't set up the Lufthansa heist. He was part of it. But it's the Air France one that, as they say, made his bones, because he saw all this stuff, and everything I had lived there was from the book, from Nick's book.
Oh, okay.
Nick would say, oh, you wrote it. Oh, yeah, if you read the chapter, because it was money in France from American tourists and American servicemen in Europe. So money was coming back in. So at that time, it was a big score. It wasn't the Lufthansa one, but it was a lot of money that was just, that's why I said it's totally untraceable.
It's totally untraceable, okay?
I wasn't trying to be clever or anything. That's what it was. It was totally untraceable. But hopefully through my own personality or whatever came, the way, Martin Scorsese had us, he literally said something to me like, say what you know, or like, I want you to go talk to Bob. I like day or two before Bob. And I go in and I'm there with him, and he just makes you feel so comfortable. And I was fortunate to work with him.